on in. Into the green. Okay, my name's Charles Vess, and I'm the artist of this exhibition, Into the Green, and it's years and years worth of work went into thinking about it. The major part of it is a one-of-a-kind mural that's 12 feet high and 150 feet long. It's a narrative mural that goes from right to left, and it's painted directly on the walls of the gallery, and it will be painted over at the end of the exhibition. So no more mural after that. And I'm going to read you the story. Sit down, sit around the fire, and let me tell you the story. A long time ago, or perhaps it was just yesterday, we all lived together in a great dark forest. There, you were a prince on a quest, or a princess with a secret, a cat shod in 7-link boots, or a mouse who wears a crown, riding on the back of a brindle hound. You were traveling together or apart along a winding path where you will come upon a beggar. He is most certainly blind. If you choose to do so, you will sit down beside him, and out of kindness, share what food you have. In return, he will gift you with something. A boat that can fly over land, a sword, a book, whatever you need to overcome. Whatever it is that you will soon confront in the deep heart of that dark wood. A wood that surrounds us all every day of our lives. There may be a dragon there, or a giant, or a witch, an unloving spouse, or an uncaring boss. It does not matter which. You'll meet them there, and if you do not stray from your path, you will vanquish them all. But be warned, the sharp branches of the wood will catch at your thoughts and twist them toward despair, if you let them. In one day, or perhaps in forever and a day, soon or not, you will come to a tower. Inside it is that which you seek. There, in the heart of the wood, you'll find yet another heart. It is your own. And with it held beating in your hands, you will be able to make your choice. Then and only then can you become that dragon, or that witch, or a loving spouse, or offer a kind word to those who work with you. The choice is always yours. The end. The mural, the words, the story are all very symbolic, metaphorical as it were. They're not supposed to be taken literally. The dark woods is your brain and all your thoughts that tangle up inside of it. And I know you've all run into giants and dragons and witches. Every time you look in the news, you see plenty of those. So if you don't take it literally, it becomes more interesting. Besides the mural, there's any number of other pieces in the show. They're hung from the ceiling, floating, as it were. 4 of them are the Seasons of the Green Man, which is the Green Man is a nature archetype that's been around for thousands and thousands of years. And I decided to symbolize them with each of these pictures. Spring, summer, fall, and winter are the landscape that you see is the landscape you would see if you sat on my porch. It's directly across the road, and all the leaves and trees and flowers in each one of the pieces are ones that we grow in our yard. The birds, everything like that. The only non-portrait is the character in each one of them. This is the spring prince, and all sorts of little flowers and things in it. Each one of these is accompanied by a piece of poetry that I picked to go with it, and then hand wrote into each one of these journals. This is the King of the Summer Lands and its Bride of Flowers. Again, the same landscape. The cows, we have lots of cows in our yard across the street. My wife really enjoys the wild turkeys that come down out of the hills, so I put some little brown blobs to be the turkeys. We have plenty of rabbits. We need to get a dog. And if you look closely into this piece, there's mice and honeybees and ladybugs, bluebirds and a robin, and a lot of flowers. The Corn King, the autumn scene, is actually the first piece I did. I did it in 2000, and right then knew that I needed to do the other 3 seasons, but it took me 15 years before I had the chance to do it. All the work in this show is personal work. It's not done as illustrations, or no one's paying me to do it, so I have to pick my time and do it. So the Corn King, again, all the landscape is across the street. The corn is out of our garden. All the grapes and the witch hazels and all the other flowers and trees in there are things that we've planted. And he gave me a good idea, and I'm glad that it only took 15 years to get the rest of them done. Although not quite done, because the Winter King here is only in pencil and ink form. There's a lot more holly and berries in here. When eventually I paint it, this is going to be sort of a dark blue, gray blue winter sky with a little bit of break in the clouds down here where the sunrise will be coming up. Here the landscape is covered in snow. He's got bells on to signal a wish for the new season. And there's a winter wren standing on top of an acorn, which is in a puddle of snow. In the interior of these floating pieces is a flat board with a slide projection of a retrospective of my work. The pieces start, earliest one I did when I was, I think, 17 years old in high school. And it goes on up. And it continuously plays. There, high school. Over here in this floating arrangement of art is, this is a Wanton Future King. It's an Arthurian. This is Merlin and his owl, and Arthur, pretty young, getting ready to accept the sword from the Lady of the Lake. She's standing on thousands and thousands of lake trout, and that's why the water's rippling, because they're all coming up out of the surface. And I put a snake in there to be Mordred, and foxes in there because I like foxes. This is called Once There Was a Hill. I go to a fairy festival every year, and I woke up one year and I had this poem in my head and the image in my head. So I just started drawing it right then, and it's been used as their festival poster since then. The original of this has been sold to a couple on the Isle of Skye in Scotland. So this is a giclée print of the image. Inside of these floating pieces are my influences. It's a slide projection of about 140 pieces of art that makes me want to run to the drawing board. And this is the only illustration in the entire show. It's the cover art to The Cats of Tanglewood Forest, a book I did with the writer Charles Salent. And I love cats, and it was a fun piece to try and do. She is changed into a cat in the story, so the girl is standing there with a fox friend, and the reflection is a cat down there. And this is To the Water and the Wild. It started off as just a purely two-dimensional piece, and I had it finished for several weeks, and then woke up one morning with the idea that I needed to build a frame that had roots and ivy and vines and all sorts of things. Most of this is silk kind of stuff, spray painted, real moss. Some of these are even poison ivy. I got it from them. And I have a little sculpture up at the top of a fairy piper. I don't think I've ever done this before, but it just seemed to demand it, so I did. And these three pieces, I had a little alcove left, wall space, so I mounted. This is a 4 by 8 foot painting called The Reconciliation of the Sun and of the Moon. And I did this a number of years ago. I bought a roll of 4 by 35 foot Arches watercolor paper and did this big thing. I had to buy new brushes, bigger brushes. There's all sorts of characters and details. My nephew is in there riding on the back of a fawn, and all sorts of things. And the thing, this was unplanned, but there is an Japanese animated film that I love, one of my favorite films in the world, My Neighbor Totoro. And in each one of these pieces, there's a little Totoro. He's there. And this one, I'll show you the other ones. This piece is called Gathering the Worlds. It's a Earth Mother teaching a young girl how to make new worlds out of old. Much more symbolic, very not as naturalistic as I usually do. This piece, Totoro, over here he's joined the fairy revelers and spinning around the circle. He's there. And in this little piece, he's just up in the branches with the owls, watching what's going on. And there you have it.